Welcome back, fishing friends, to the worldwide headquarters of the Pinhook Fishing Club. I hope you guys are doing great out there. Hey, if you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. My name's Alan. I'm usually making some kind of fishing video, but I make other fishing videos too. So if you like what you see here, please consider liking and subscribing. I don't do this professionally, but I just do it for fun, to have like a video diaries on my fishing expeditions and places that I go to. And for me, it's a lot of fun to go back and look at things. Sometimes I'll do review videos, like this last couple weeks. I did the Booyah Flashpoint just to get it out there. I had so much fun fishing with that. Excuse me. Okay, so I got some orders in. I'm going to go through them. And normally I don't like talking about orders, but in this case, there's some things I want to bring to light. First of all, this past weekend, when I was fishing, I completed the jerkbait challenge, and man, I was happy I didn't get skunked. But then I was fun fishing the next day, and it was a Sunday, and man, it was brutal at the spot I was at. I couldn't even get a sniff on anything. I lost 4 crankbaits, I lost some Bagleys, and it was just crazy. But I did get my order of Bagleys in. I had another order on the way, so I'm going to run through these. All right, here's the Balsa B2. 5 to 6 feet. If you've never thrown balsa before, go for it. That wood in the water, there's just something about it. The buoyancy and how it moves, top notch. Here's the Sunny B. This one's 6 to 7 feet. These guys right here are just phenomenal. Man, that's Sunny B right there. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you go to Northland Tackle is where I get them. They're having a promotion there. If you get four lures of the Bagleys, they'll send you a free hat. And so I took advantage of that. Then I got some more in. And this one's another Sunny B. This is a 2 to 4 footer right here. This is the shallow Sunny B. It's in that cool root beer color. And then we've got this one, the flat Balsa B2, a little bit bigger. This is a 4 to 6 footer. I like this one in that color. And we've got this one, 5 to 6 feet right here. And this one is the Pro Sunny B. This one's in kind of like that Caribbean citrus color, parrot. All right. So first of all, my favorite crankbaits of all times are going to be bombers. They're just bass fishing royalty. Then I like what 6 Sense has to offer. Excuse me. That whole range of stuff, I really enjoy that. Plus they're a Texas company. Then I like these Bagleys for the balsa. There was a stretch where Bomber was putting out some balsas, and they're kind of hard to come by. You can find them, but they can be kind of expensive. I got one up there on the wall, on my little wall of fame back there, where I've got some autograph lures and things. But I did get some new crankbaits in that I've never used before. And then, of course, next on that list would be my the Rapalas. I like those crankbaits, like the DT series. I don't throw them that much, but the one color I really like is how they do their red for the craws. Just sick color how they paint them on there. But I do have some DTs, and I like throwing them. I just don't throw them that much. But then I was looking at getting one of these hammer traps from Bill Lewis. It's a rattle trap, but it's called a hammer trap. I've never thrown one, so I've got one of those on order. And then I was trying to figure out, well, do I want to try these? Before I put that hammer trap order in, it was about a week before, I went ahead and got some of these Bill Lewis MR-6 crankbaits. They're kind of in that DT 6 type, the DT series. It looks sort of like that, but it is different. This one is a chartreuse color, blue chartreuse, and the color on this is just absolutely sick. And this is that Mark Daniels Jr. series, and so he pretty much designed this one. But check that out, it's got the mustad hooks. That color is going to be just lethal. And then I've got this one, which is a thread fin shad color. If you've never thrown this MR-6, I haven't. So if I do my crankbait challenge, I may be using these. In fact, I know I will. And then here, this color is pretty cool, this bluegill. I should probably take them out so you can look at them, but something about leaving them in the package for a while. Man, that looks good. All right, so these get down to 6 feet. Now that I'm using, I've downsized to 12 braid, 12 fluoro, my 12 and 12, I can get it down there easy. Because I'm using that Sunline braid, what is it, that SX1, and that's just, I don't want to say super thin, but it is fine. And the crankbaits will get down there. Now I still have one rod that's hooked up with a 20 and 20, and you know, same thing with that. A heavier line, your bait's not going to get down there too far, or as far. If it says like maybe 10 feet, you'll probably get it down to 8, 7. So you just have to tinker with that a little bit. I never mess with the hooks. I know a lot of guys will swap hooks out on when they get their crankbaits and jerkbaits and rattle traps. Sometimes I've had to switch them. I'll switch them if the hooks are really bad and rusty. Like if I get an eBay special and the hooks are just junk, then I'll swap them out. Sometimes when I get my Smithwicks or my rattle traps, because sometimes I'll get a whole bunch of chrome rattle traps. That's what I was just whacking fish on this summer and the other years. I try not to talk about it too much. I don't want to give too much of the juice out there, but these rattle traps, man, there's something about that flash. Whew. But I try to keep the hooks they put on there. That's part of the challenge for me. I know people think I'm crazy of, you know, making fishing a little bit harder. It's not that I'm making it harder. It's just the challenge is already there and I'm rising up to meet it. Like I could get a boat. Ooh, I lost my lighting. Hang on, guys. Let me check this. Ugh. I could get a boat. I could get a kayak. But the way I was raised up in fishing in the summers in Iowa, see, I was bank fishing with a cane pole on a little creek there. And then when we got a little bit older, we went to some other spots. It was bank fishing, a nice area. And that's where I learned how to throw a spinnerbait, threw a grub. And so my whole life, I've just relished the challenge of bank fishing. Just something about it. And yes, it's hard. A lot of times I get skunked. But man, I think it's made me a better fisherman. And I have so much fun doing it. It's so peaceful. You're not having to worry about batteries. You're not having to worry about anchors. You're not having to worry about fuel. You know, winterizing. You just get to your spot, fish for a little bit, move up and down, take a break, let that area settle down. And a lot of people think if you stay in one area too long, that it's just going to be a waste of time. It isn't. I've done it so many times for so many years that even on a lake, those fish are moving around. Now, they may live in a particular area and hang out there, but there's fish that are constantly moving. You'll see them swimming along the banks. And so I just give it some time. I'm real patient, and I do just fine bank fishing. Okay, let's get to this. Enough with, you know, my decisions on my preferences of fishing and what I'm going to use. But I will tell you this. I've got this Lucky Craft. It's like a Pointer 98. I've been loving these 2-hook jerkbaits lately. You saw me throw that Bandit B Shad in the jerkbait challenge. Oh, that was so much fun throwing that. It's a little light, but I made it work. On the 12 and 12, I had no problem throwing it. All right. And then this one here is, I'm a big fan of Dual Realis. And the one thing with Dual Realis is, this one's the 100 SP. I've got the wriggle stick, which looks like a little sausage. And man, I've whacked some fish on that thing. It's very nice, very smooth. But I'm curious to test these out. And I've got, a couple other ones that are in this 2-hook. I mean, I've got a Smithwick. I've got the Bandit B Shad. A whole bunch of Cotton Cordell floating minnows. This CO7S, whatever that is. I think that's it. But anyway, so like this, the hooks that come with these I'm not changing them. I'm not swapping them out. And guys are like, oh man, it's going to affect your hookup ratio. If you play the fish right, you're going to be fine. I only had one time where I really questioned the hooks, and I shouldn't have. Because on a rattle trap, they're using those mustads. And this was about 3 weeks ago. I hooked into a massive bass up at Ray Roberts, and that thing was back and forth, and he jumped, and as soon as he hit the water, he threw the hook. And I was thinking he either one, used leverage, and when he threw his head, he popped the hook out. But when I brought the lure back, the hooks were sticky sharp, and it was those mustads, and I really don't lose many of them. Now, in this video that I had before, or this last weekend, I had one coming into the shore and it came off. But once in a while I'll get something like that. Alright, what else did I get? Okay. Guys, these are like, they're not a secret, but I don't know how people are not using them more. This is Brandon Polinick's endorsed. It's these X-Zone Hot Shot Minnows. This looks weird because I've combined 2 packs and they're marinating in that Procure. So I put the gel in there first, and then it'll dry. I laid them out so the gel will dry, and then I put them in here and I sprayed it with the Procure, and man, it just has that awesome Procure smell. So this is the Hot Shot Minnow 3.25 inch, and I put these on the back of a jackhammer stealth blade, a regular jackhammer, and you can drop shot these. These are just deadly. These will work great on a little sneaky underspin, the Great Lakes Finesse little sneaky underspin. And I like throwing the forward-facing sonar minnows, but man, these, I may just have to go with these exclusively. Whew! Oh yeah, here, take a sniff. Yeah, you can smell that Procure. But pinhook, you might say, if you put them all in there, you combine the packs, the tail's going to get all bent. They're not going to be straight. It doesn't work that way. Even though it looks like the tails are bent, these things, however they make them, are just so clutch. And they move so well. If you see it on a drop shot, oh man. So I put these on the back of the jackhammer stealth blades. I have a video from this summer where I watched a bass come up on a stealth blade, and I had one of these, what is it? It's the warmouth color, the green. The other one I've got is like a Pro Blue. I can't remember what the name of it is. But anyway, I was throwing that through there, and I saw the bass high alert. He could detect, you know, the jackhammer stealth blade spinning, and he just went over there and whacked it, and I pulled it up. In the video, I'm like, oh, that was sick. I saw him hit it. Well, the thing with this is the straight tail, when it's fluttering back there, it's got great movement, and it won't push the bait up like if you're throwing a traditional paddle tail. It can kind of get it to rise. A lot of times I'll use an exo stick and trim it and put it on the back of my jackhammers and just have a straight tail. If I do put something that's finned, like a tail fin, I'll put the Lake Fork Magic Shad. Those are phenomenal too. I'll put those on there. Speaking of trailers and things, I picked up these spinner baits from Battle Baits. And guys, I'm telling you, I've never thrown anything like these before. I've never seen anything like these before. And I was like, I gotta get them. I'll show you what it looks like. These things are heavy. They got a lot of weight to them. Look at that, super straight. This one's got a little willow. Great color. And so what I did with this is I went ahead and did the tie off with some braid to close that loop there, the little pinhole, safety pin. But these are heavy. And if I put one of these Hot Shot minnows on there, I won't need to trim it. It'll be just fluttering. Now sometimes I'll trim the skirts on stuff like on my jigs and things so that it's right here to show off the bait. But these things, I don't know if you can see or not, it fits in the palm of my hand, and I've got small hands, and they're just a phenomenal size. Heavy. I think this is a 1/2 ounce, and you can just work your way on back. I used to really throw a lot of 1/4 ounce, But man, these things, and look at that, it's got that great design. So I've got a whole bunch of these, well, 4 of them. I'm going to test them out. Never thrown them before, but a friend of mine was talking about them. He's like, dude, have you been throwing these battle baits, spinner baits? I was like, no, never heard of them. So now we're going to give it a shot and see what these are all about. That was my first big lure to really throw as a kid, was just a spinner bait. I'd whack a lot of pike on it. Pike was my preferred fishing, and it's fish to catch, and it still is. I have so much fun thinking back in my childhood using live chubs to catch these giant pike. And then of course the spinner bait, you know, I caught a bunch on there with that. I just really enjoyed it. Okay, so that's going to pretty much wrap it up. I just wanted to go through the orders. The other thing I wanted to tell you real quick is, remember this box of my 1/16 crappie jig heads that I didn't ever finish before the summer? Well, I finally got back onto them, but I didn't tie any jigs. I didn't experiment with paint. I used this little tube, and I would dip it into the paint, and then I was putting eyes on the jig heads. Because before, I had those little stick-on eyeballs, and I put just a little bit of super glue, and I'd put the eyes on there. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to make my own version of Popeye jig head. So I did with that little straw, just put it on there. And I tried to mix up the colors, like with this green. Check out how that blue looks. Now, I haven't put any hardener on there. I probably won't. You know, these aren't going to get banged around down there. It's going to mainly be for crappie. Now, all those other ones that I made a bundle for my cousin. I've got my set, and then I had a whole bunch of extras where I was practicing tying. So I think I'm going to put those on eBay. Some of the ones that had some some of the unique feathers that I had, or not unique, but feathers from the farm, turkey feathers from our farm, those I'll probably keep, but a lot of them I'm probably going to put on eBay and then start working on this next batch. Check this out. On the orange, I put like a purple on there. So I put on a YouTube Live, you know, a live stream, and I just listened to it. I think the one I was listening to when I did these was, check out that. This is white and it's a magenta. Look at that. What was the one I was listening to? I mean, I always listen to the old reruns of like Bass After Dark. Oh, it was BTL. BTL I was looking at, because it had Jeffries on there and everyone was talking about the changes they should make. And but I also really like Tackle Talk, and that's where I got most of my fishing knowledge. And also the Smallmouth Crush podcast with Travis Manson. Learned a ton. So when I get home from work, it's just so therapeutic just to put on one of those live streams or listen to some music and just work on lures. I tinker in here. Remember, I'm not changing any hooks, but painting, tying jigs, it's just so therapeutic and relaxing that I really enjoy it. So I went ahead and did those, and I'll start tying them. But this is a deal. If I make any mistakes or I don't like it, scrap it, and I'm starting it all over. I'm going to make a little scrap bucket. Just throw it in there, and I'll start all over. I'll strip all the, you know, the craft hair or the hackle off and start fresh, because I want these to be really nice. So I'm going to do that, work on those, and we'll see. I'm also going to tie some bass hair jig ones. I've got some pretty sneaky, not sneaky, but I've got some old secrets on how to make those look good. So I'm going to do those too, and go from there. All right, guys, that's going to be it. Thanks for hanging out with me. I know talking videos, I'm not a big fan of them either, but it's just a good time to get the word out on different things, or if I explain stuff. All right, so drop a comment below what the next challenge is going to be. I got to figure that out. Let me know. I did the jerkbait challenge. That was successful. Am I going to do like Senkos, or am I going to do worms? Not a Senko, but like straight tail worms, or those giant oversized worms. Am I going to do like grubs? Am I going to do just spinner baits like MEPS, inline spinners, and then maybe just spinner baits like these? Or can I break it up, like if I do Maybe after I do like the crankbait challenge, maybe do a crankbait challenge just with Bagleys or bombers, so I can turn this into all kinds of different things. Soft plastics, I could do just with a Kitech, and you don't see me throw Kitechs very often. I'm more of a Spark Shad guy. It's something about those eyes, I guarantee it. Now this is a little different. These guys right here, these are fish catching machines. I'll put those under a float and have them hanging there. Oh my gosh, I use a little trout magnet for the hook. I'm telling you guys, these are just a secret that it's just nobody, I mean, you don't hear anybody talking about it, but these are just deadly. All right, and so then maybe I can do another jerkbait one with just the 2-hook jerkbaits. Or I can do a crappie video, you know, where I'm just using the hand-tied jigs, maybe in a specific color. So there's different things to do the challenge in it. And a friend of mine was telling me I needed to do the 10 cast challenge. I don't know what that is, but I'm assuming he tried to tell me you pick a lure, you get 10 casts, that's it, that's the video. And I'm like, well, I guess I could make that, you know. And my biggest fear, it's not that I get skunked, it's that it just, the whole thing flops. I'm not a perfectionist, but I'm like, come on. And because you know, when you're watching YouTube videos or anything like that, social media pictures and things, it's almost it's not always accurate, as I want to say. A lot of times you do so much fishing and you get skunked, you don't catch anything. And what you do is when you do catch stuff, you get the highlights of it. So like a friend of mine, she watches my fishing videos, and I gave her a heads up. I said, look, unless you're really into fishing, it's kind of boring because you're casting, you're kind of, it's almost like watching paint dry. And she says, you know what? It's therapeutic, it's calming. I don't mind it. I can watch it if I'm working on something. And so I thought, you know what? That is kind of an accurate deal. Or a good way to put it is therapeutic. Our society is just so go, 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 go. Fast, fast, fast. You need a 15-second reel. You need a 15-second TikTok and this and that. And I'm like, what? Enjoy the video. I never skip through videos. I'm serious. Like when I'm watching Country View Acres or Just a Few Acres, a little farm YouTube channels that I follow, or like if I'm watching Lee Livesey's stuff, just whoever I'm watching their channels, I never skip through anything. They took the time to make it. I'm not going to disrespect them by jumping and skipping through. I mean, that is just so lame. I know that sounds terrible, but maybe it's because I'm old school, but I'll watch a video from start to finish. Now, if there's the commercials in there and you have the option to skip, I'll skip those. But a lot of these guys that fish, they put the time in, I'm going to watch the whole thing. That's just it. There's no two ways about it, you know. So if you do skip through videos, I just, you know, ask you, hey, the next time, just watch the whole thing for whatever you're watching. A lot of times I'm watching Junkyard Digs, channels that aren't even fishing, start to finish. I watch them. So that's just me. They put the time in. I'm going to pay attention to it. All right, there's my little soapbox rant, but anyway. All right. So just drop a comment. Let me know which one you want me to do next, what kind of a challenge. Like I was saying, I never heard of the 10 cast challenge. I don't know what 10 casts for me, it would be over in like 5 minutes unless I really whacked fish one right after another. But I'd have to think about it and see what I could do to come up with that. I could do kind of sneaky, you know, stretch it out as I just could crappie fish or bass fish under a bobber. Funk, there's one cast, 20 minutes, reel it in, check everything, fire it out there. Second cast, it's out there for another 30 minutes, bring it in. So I could do it that way. But then people will be like, no, that's not how the challenge goes. You got to throw like a lure. All right, I'll do some investigating on that to see what the 10 cast challenge is all about. It may be something where I'm like, this is just clickbait, silly stuff, but it could be fun. Sometimes some stuff like that is fun to me, and I'll be all over it. I'll be like, oh man, I can do this, or let's see what happens. It's not that I'm afraid that I would get skunked, like I was saying before. It's just how things play out. you know. So if you get skunked, you get skunked. And if people are watching, if they really like the channel, if they're loyal, and if they have respect for the stuff you do, they'll be like, hey, he got skunked. You know, at least he you know, took us along for the ride. All right. Until next time, I will see you then, guys. Hope all your fall fishing is going well. And, hey, tight lines, and hopefully you're catching a ton of them. And don't forget to get your lures wet. And enjoy the cooler temperatures that are supposed to start creeping in the next week or two. And I'm envious of my cousins and family that are up in Iowa, and friends that are in Wisconsin that are enjoying the cooler temperatures and really enjoying the smallmouth bite and pike. So, all right. See you later, guys. Bye-bye. Now get out there and get your lures wet.